So this training is going to be in two parts. So the first part will be the theory part. Then later on, we schedule for another one, which will be practical. So okay, so maybe 4 minutes. But we can use this time to introduce ourselves. We'll get to know where we are coming from. As I said earlier on, it's about networking. I might find myself in your country and probably I don't know my way out. So please, I would like us to start by introducing myself. So Yvonne, tell us where you are joining us from.
Hello.
Yes, Yvonne.
So I'm Ivonati. I'm joining you from Accra, Ghana.
So okay, thank you very much, Yvonne. Lord Kelvin, where are you joining us from?
Yeah, hello. So I'm Lord, and I'm joining from Kumasi in Ghana. I'm currently a student, and then I'm just trying to learn how to use R and apply R to my field to kind of improve my own skills as well. Thank you.
I hope you are on the Ghana R User community page.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. We have Collins. Bafo, Chi.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Collins.
Okay, I'm Collins Bafochi from joining from Cape Coast University.
Okay, thank you, Collins, for joining. So we have the next lines. Remy, my good friend from Benin. Kindly let us know where you're joining us from.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Remy Akoten from Republic of Benin. I'm student in biostatistics here at the National University of Benin.
Hey, thank you very much. Then we have, okay, so we have the founder and organizer for Botswana R User community. I would like you to introduce yourself.
But like you said, my name is Edmon Campbell from
Okay, I
Botswana R
place
Users in Botswana.
Noisy.
Yeah.
So let me.
Recording in progress.
Let me introduce our guest speaker for today's session. So our guest speaker is a good friend of mine. I've known him for almost a year now. He was part of us when we were doing our conference last year at DEC. Sorry, yes, you're hearing some echo. There's lights out here where I am, so I'm joining through my phone and my laptop. I can only stay on it for 1 hour. Can be on it for 1 hour. So let me just introduce our guest speaker. So he's called Dr. Edmon Ayesu, a senior research fellow of the Center for Social Science Research of the Kumasi University. His interest in research is in the area of applied economics and stochastic process. He has over the years led a number of surveys and statistical surveys or studies in social sciences. Please. Dr. Ayesu is the principal, founder, and organizer for Kumasi R User community. So, fellow R enthusiasts, I'd like to welcome you for today's session. Thank you all for joining. Today's session. I will let the speaker start with the presentation. So over to you, Dr. Edmon Ayesu.
Okay, so today's meetup, I wanted us to look at a very brief conversation around a new emerging data structure. And I've tried to enable us to actually have a more collaborative engagement on the issue. I'll divide it into two parts. So this first part will be the overview, and then the second part will be the actual analysis using the R software. So I've captioned it R in dynamic structural equation modeling in economic analysis, part one. Apparently, when it comes to the field of economics, we have what we call standard models that we use to analyze economic variables, or what we call flow variables in economics. So especially when it comes to the field of macroeconomics, we have standard models that we use, either we are in partial equilibrium or we are in full equilibrium, and so on. But as days are ongoing, new issues are emerging, and we are trying to borrow models from other sectors of the social sciences. So when you go into the field of psychology, for instance, we have this what we call longitudinal models that has gained a lot of attention in psychology. And you look at it critically and you see that it can also be applied in the field of economics. So apparently this conversation is going to revolve around what we mean by dynamic structural equation modeling, and then how R comes into the picture of dynamic structural equation modeling, and then how we can apply a step-by-step procedure to implement it in the R framework. And we'll try to discuss a case study, and then the part two will analyze that case study, and then we have a more informed conversation on it. And then we'll look at some challenges involved in using R for dynamic structural equations. So to begin with, we say that a dynamic structural equation is just an extension of the popular structural equation model. Structural equation modeling has been used in economic theory, and in economics, it's more linked to what we call simultaneous equation analysis of variables, where some variables cannot be defined clear-cutly, whereby we use what we call technically indicators, where we use indicators to measure them. But the challenge has been that in most of these fields, we have used more of a cross-sectional data. And that also comes with its own limitations. And when you look at macroeconomic variables critically, they are mostly time-dependent data. So it means that the popular structural equation method, as we know, cannot fully handle time-dependent variables if you want to apply it in the field of structural equations. So that's what gave birth to dynamic structural equations, where we look at the time, the cross-sectional nature of it, and its time dependency simultaneously. So you will see that I have some three figures. So the first one, XY, that represents a cross-sectional frame of a data. And we also look at the second one, which is more like a time series. You follow one variable X over a specific number of realizations. And then the last one combines the two. So we have we have the cross-sectional nature, and then we have its time dependency together. So that's going to be the focus of our conversation today. In the field of psychology, it's been used in diverse ways to measure motivations, to measure emotions, to measure the way a group of people who are followed over a long period of time deviate from certain what we will call treatments and so on. But when you come to the field of economics, we are looking at situations where we have, specifically in macroeconomics, we have issues that involve selected countries' variables like inflation, like growth, which are key issues in African macroeconomics. And then we look at how countries have evolved in these variables over time, and then how we can use this dynamic structural equation model to address some of these peculiar needs. And the most important part of this, and that makes this one different from what we know as the general longitudinal model, which in economics we call it panel model, is that when you talk about longitudinal or panel models, the cross-sectional bit of the data structure is usually large. So you can use the frequency, you can use the statistical frequency model to do most of the analysis and interpretations and so on. But when it comes to questions which involves a very small cross-sectional structure with a long time series dependency, then you see that it becomes very difficult to use the method that we apply for panel or longitudinal analysis today, because usually the smaller sample size of the cross-sectional structure of the data will not allow us to have a very stable or a very sufficient location to enable us to do a much more impressive analysis on the data. So that is where dynamic structural equation becomes very, very, very important to this conversation. So we ask ourselves, why do we use it? And I said we use it because sometimes we are faced with issues concerning smaller countries, and then their variables that are of importance for policy and so on. Let me give a very clear example. For instance, Ghana is part of the West Africa Monetary Zone, and the entire space of the West Africa Monetary Zone is made up of 6 countries. That's Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, and Guinea. And the West Africa Monetary Zone has some targets. We have some targets where we want to meet in the form of what we call convergence criterion and so on. So when we are doing studies on the WAMZ, we will see that the number of countries is small, but we trace their performance from the 90s up to now. Sometimes when we are using annual data, for instance, we are going to have close to about 30 years and so on. So in such situations, when we are using the panel or the longitudinal analysis, we are going to suffer a problem with the sufficiency of the sample of countries that we want to use. And dynamic structural equation is able to overcome some of these weaknesses to give us a much more informed or reliable estimates. When we come to R, R has also been able to develop certain packages that can be used to attend to some of these issues. But the popular one, the popular software that has been designed for use to analyze some of these data sets is what we call the M+. And the M+ has been designed based on Bayesian model, because you know that the Bayesian model or the Bayesian analysis is able to handle smaller samples better than the frequentist model. So the M+ actually use or relies on a lot of what do you call it, principles developed in the Bayesian space to do quite a number of the analysis that is involved with dynamic structure equation. But over the years, R has also done very well. R has also developed certain packages. The initial package that R developed was really for SEM, the Lavan. The Lavan was developed for SEM. But recently, too, the Lavan can also handle some basic autoregressive effects. Then we have OpenMix, DYNR, and then the Bayesian one, BRMS, and so on. All these packages, when we put them together, we are able to use them to handle the dynamic structure equation models quite effectively. So with this presentation, we want to look at, as our objectives, how R can be used for the SEM and the step-by-step DSEM approach. And then we'll also look at the challenges that we are likely to encounter whilst we are using R for the DSEM. And then we'll look at recommendations or share experiences as to how we can overcome some of these challenges. But as I said earlier, today's one is going to be just an overview, and then subsequently we'll look at the actual analysis framework. I don't know when Francis will set up another meetup for us to discuss this all important issue. Okay. So we have discussed, or I've mentioned quite a lot of this. Now, we look at issues concerning latent variables. When we talk about latent variables, we are talking about variables that usually we are unable to measure by one variable. Let me give a classic example. For instance, we are looking at market confidence or economic confidence, the confidence that the citizens have in the economy. We can't just use one variable to measure it. Usually, we can organize ourselves or can organize various variables to measure market confidence and so on, economic confidence, whatever we want to address. Or when we also want to measure something like living standard, for instance, we can't use one variable to capture the entire living standard spectrum. We can use various variables to do so. So variables that requires us to use other variables that technically we call indicators to measure, they are referred to as latent variables. And we know that from the field of the social sciences. And then we have what we call the observed variables. And then the observed variables are what technically we refer to as indicator variables. Now we have the measurement model. When we want to do structural equations, definitely we handle issues concerning the measurement model, and also handle issues concerning the structural model. So the measurement model describes how the observed variables relate to the latent variable, the latent construct that we want to measure. And then the structural model looks at the relationship between the various latent constructs that is informing the theory that we want to measure or otherwise. The weakness of SEM actually is the fact that SEM is static. It doesn't have time dependent variables. Hello. Hello. Okay, so SEM is static. It doesn't have what we call time-dependent variable. Technically, we call it temporal variable or temporal effect. So the variables, the procedure that we use to measure SEM. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Doc. We can hear you.
All right. So the procedure that we use to measure SEM cannot actually handle dynamic structural equations because of the differences, the temporal effects between the two variables. So DSEM extends SEM, and then by the extension to the temporal structure of the data, we are able to look at lags in the data. And with that lags, economic theory or empirical studies in economics suffer a lot of limitations. So we introduce lags to see how yesterday's issues affect today and tomorrow issues and so on. Either we are introducing the lags in the framework of auto-regression, or we are looking at lags in the framework of Markovian construct, whatever it is. So lags play very important role, and dynamic structural equations enable us to connect lag effects to a structural equation modeling effect. Okay, so when we look at the differences, we can see, as we said, the lag effect is not in SEM, but it's in DSEM. And then the auto-regression effect is not in SEM, but it's also in DSEM. Then the DSEM is also able to help us to test the effect of a lag of one variable on another variable. Let me give an instance. We want to know how probably the interest rate of yesterday affect, let's say, employment rate of today or tomorrow, or the interest rate of last year, or inflation rate of last year, inflation average rate of last year. How does it affect, let's say, growth or GDP growth today and tomorrow? So that's cross-lag. And then with cross-lag, SEM is limited, but when it comes to DSEM, it handles it very well. Then when it comes to applications in economics, although SEM has been part of initial economic development in the framework of what do you call simultaneous equation models, DSEM is enabling us to capture a lot of other relevant relationships when it comes to the simultaneous equation framework. Okay. Now we want to illustrate. The next one we'll do, we'll illustrate the effect of SEM on using some very key variables. We would like to see the relationship between growth. We would like to see the effect of inflation, interest rate, and unemployment on GDP growth in Ghana and in West Africa. In West Africa, I will limit myself to the WAMZI, the West Africa Monetary Zone, because I have a smaller sample space. So we'll limit ourselves to that, and we'll see how we'll use SEM to address some of the policy issues that's of relevance to the monetary zone. Okay, so that study will look at how past GDP affects current or future GDP or current economic performance. And by the economic performance, that will be a latent structure. And they'll also look at how interest rates affect inflation And this is going to be a path analysis because they are both observational variables. And then we'll look at how country-specific effects also influence economic trends through a multi-level analysis. Okay. So this is how the R addresses some of these things. And then the R, when we want to use the R for it, we need to install the packages. Tidyverse will play a role. Lavan will also play a role when it comes to the measurement models. It becomes applicable. And then DYNR, then the Bayesian one, BRMS, and then CTSEM, that's continuous SEM, and then an open MX. We need to load all these things and I will call them through their respective libraries. And then it will help us to define the kind of relationships that we need. So for instance, the empirical relationships is going to be like past GDP growth. We define the lags first, sorry. We define the lags. So this is how the lags will be defined. I think we'll throw much more light when we meet the next time. So look at the autoregressive relationship. We define the lags, and the lags are basically a year's realization on the variable, or let's say a past year's realization on the variable. And we need to define it before we can use it in the equation. And then we also look at cross-lag effects between the variables. We'll look at how inflation affects other variables. But before we're able to do that, we need to also define the lags before we are able to implement all these things. And then we'll also try to use the same lag effects to look at the multi-level model. Okay, now what are some of the challenges that we are likely to encounter when we are using R? Unlike M+, though M+ is proprietary, R comes also with a very flexible ways of addressing the structure or the data structure needs of a DSEM. And then, but using R comes with the challenge of what we call computational intensity. Because we are now working with a very long temporal data that we cannot use the frequentist approach. We need to use the Bayesian approach to deal with it. And in most cases, when we introduce a lag, the lag will deny the data set the first realization. So is that the first realization will be absent. So if you don't manage that very well in the R process, we are going to have some challenges in the analysis. And I think the next time we will see these issues quite well. And in most cases, R uses the Markov chain Monte Carlo for the resampling because we said that the cross-sectional space is very small. So if you don't have a framework that is able to address this, then we are going nowhere. We are going to have very unreliable results. So the MCMC is able to address this. And then also we need to be very intentional about how we are going to handle missing data issues. As I said, the first trend of missing data is going to be, the first trend of missing data is going to be the lag effect that will cause us to lose the first realization in a data set. Okay. Then DSEM also the resource as it's present in DSEM is quite different from the ordinary autoregressive models like the AR or the RE or the AMA model that we do. But at the same time, it's also going to give us autoregressive and cross. DSEM is emerging and can address certain peculiar data sets that we as statisticians we use. And especially when it comes to small cross-sectional and then long temporal data sets. And then the DSEM also is becoming very relevant in macroeconomic analysis, where we are going to deal with issues that involved some macroeconomic variables on a smaller sample space of countries. And then because of its small cross-sectional feature, the Bayesian measures are ideal for such analysis. And I keep on saying that as far as we are trying to more or less improve on our monetary and fiscal policy convergence issues in the WAMSI, DSEM is going to be one of the critical models that will be implemented to address some of the policy questions that the process of agreeing or on the implementation of single currency for West Africa is concerned. So I will end my presentation here, and then if there will be questions or whatever, what do we call it? Questions or contributions on the very few things that we have put across as concern. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. Please, questions. We are open for questions. I think we'll take like questions time is 20 minutes. So please, if you have any questions you want to ask or anything you understand or any suggestion or anything you want to add, please kind of let us know. There's currently a lights, like we have lights out here. That's why Doc is using the phone to do the presentation. So I have shared the slides to check the chat session. You will see the slides there. Please, any question? We are almost done. Any question? Okay, so someone hands is up. So kindly unmute yourself and ask the question. Lord, kindly unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the presenter for the insightful presentation. I have that 2 questions. The first one is considering the kind of data structure. I want to know whether or not, in short, you can use DSEM for situations where your N is less than your T. In a sense, your cross sections are smaller than your time dimension. And then additionally, you were also mentioning that the DSEM is an improvement on the original SEM. So in terms of data collection, can this be applied to, primary data collection sources, for example, survey or questionnaire data, or it's only, let me say, an adaptation of sorts, so we can apply this to, the more economic variables that we are already used to? Thank you.
Okay, can I address that quickly?
Yes, please.
So basically, the DSEM is ideal for all kinds of data structure that has cross-sectional and the temporal dimensions. But like you said, where you have your N less than the T, then DSEM comes in very strongly because of its Bayesian properties. But most importantly, and very most importantly, where your N is extremely less, whereby it's going to affect the sufficiency of your locational parameters that you are going to use, then the DSEM becomes very, very important to address. So then I was giving a classic example where, for instance, because I limited my study to the economic analysis, where we are trying to see whether we can actually predict a convergence, meeting a convergence criteria for member countries of the WAMS, which are made up of six countries: Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, the Gambia, and obviously and Guinea. We have just 6 countries, and then we are following their macroeconomic variables like inflation and GDP growth from the 1990s up to now. Obviously, you see that the N is smaller and the T is long. So DSEM is very suitable for some of these things. Now, when it comes to the second question, where you were asking whether it is ideal for primary data, very well. In psychology, they use primary data for this, and they have a way of collecting their data, which is a little different from how economists also we collect the economists also collect their data. In psychology, sometimes they collect the data in such a way that they put or they give some instruments to the sample participants, so that within some regular time interval they report some issues that they experience and so on. So they are able to use real-time primary source data to generate a primary source procedure to generate the required data.
Hello, Doc. I don't know whether Doc is still on.
Sorry, I think I got lost. So let me recap briefly. So all we are saying is that the DSEM can handle questions of longitudinal data. It can also handle question of panel data, but it is also very ideal for issues that you said that we have smaller cross-sectional, that's the N units. We have smaller N units and large T units. It's very ideal for it because of its Bayesian properties. And I said that within the social sciences, there are various ways of collecting data. In psychology, they're able to use certain instruments for their study participants, and they report regular responses or observations to the data collection procedures. So they're able to use primary data for the DSEM. But when it comes to the field of economics, sometimes quite, especially in macroeconomics, we are unable to do this because we are usually collecting data on country various what do you call it, the primary source of data like the psychologists would do. I hope maybe it's quite okay.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
All right.
Maybe one follow-up question to it. So, in case you are using the DSEM as your baseline regression analysis or your analysis proper, what other methodology can you use as a robustness check, or is DSEM sufficient enough to cover all?
Oh no, there are the diagnostic system is able to do that. So basically, when you run it, the procedure is able to give you a very trusted diagnostic quantities for you to be able to assess that. I don't know whether we are on the same wavelength.
Yes, please. I understand you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc, for the presentation. Hello, Doc.
Yes, I'm online, please.
Okay.
I can hear you, please.
Eric, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
I think it's his net. I think that's the network.
Okay.
Hello, Eric. Can you hear us? Hello, Eric. Oh, I think the network. Okay. So I think it's a network. So I think please, any more questions? Any more questions? Please, any more questions? Okay. All right. So thank you, Doc, for the presentation. But then I would like us to reintroduce ourselves. I think when we started, we tried to introduce ourselves. We tried to know ourselves. So this meetup is 3-in-1. It's brought to you by Ghana R User Community, Kumasi R User Community, and then Botswana R User Community. Edson is the founder and organizer for Botswana R User Community. So we have people joining us from Botswana. We have my good friend joining us from Benin, and then we have other fellow art enthusiasts joining us from Botswana, and also the other part, the other communities we have in Africa. So I would like us to, at this time, to introduce ourselves, and then we get to know where you are joining us from. As I said earlier on. Okay, Eric, are you on? Eric.
Hello.
Yes, so your question again.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
we can hear
my
you.
network was split. Yeah. Now, on the diagnostic test after the DSEM, DSEM, with the normal SEM, I know that some people they use neural networks, or what they popularly know the multi-layer perceptrons, which is an artificial neural network. They normally use as a robustness or sensitivity check. Is it also does it also apply to the DSEM?
No, the DSEM comes with its own.
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
So I think it's a network. Doc will soon join us again. I think it's a network.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, so Doc is back. So.
Yes,
can you hear me?
Doc.
What I'm saying is that the DSEM comes with its own diagnostic system, because the SEM is on the frequencies platform, and then the DSEM is on more of the Asian platform. So they come there with various systems. I want us to discuss this in detail when we do the second part.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much. So as I was saying earlier on, so the second part will come on. The second part will not be today, but then we'll surely fix a date for the second part. So it's in 2 parts. So this part is the theory part. So the practical part will be the second part, which I'm still talking to Edson from Botswana R User Community. So as I said earlier on, I would like us to introduce ourselves, get to know where we are all joining from. As I said, I have friends and colleagues from Benin, from Botswana, from South Africa, Nigeria. They are here. We would like to get to know them more. We get to know ourselves more. There was a time I traveled to Ibadan to give a talk. I bumped into most of the people here who normally join our meetups. So at times this thing is good to get to know ourselves, and then when we find ourselves in the other parts of the country, we can reach out and connect more. So Edson is here from Botswana. So Edson, we are done. But then, do you have any question for Doc?
Hello.
Hello, Edson. I think Edson, the network. Okay, the network. Hello, Edson. Okay, I think the network is a network. So I think we'll be done in the next 10 minutes. So let's kindly introduce ourselves, and then let's know where you are connecting us from or you are joining us from. So let me start with Collins again. Collins Apia, where are you joining us from? Where are you connecting us from? Collins Apia, just 1 minute. We just want to get to know ourselves. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello. I'm Collins Apia, joining from Ghana, and an R enthusiast from your group, Ghana R Users community.
Okay, which region?
Thank you. Accra, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have my very good friend, my respected friend, Dr. Bismarck Parker. Doc. Hello, Doc. Hello, Dr. Bismarck Parker.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, so we would like to know where you are joining us from.
Okay, from Kumasi Technical University, Accra, Ghana, Kumasi, Ghana.
Thank you, Doc. So Doc is also the co-founder for Kumasi R User Community Kumasi Technical University chapter. So if you find yourself in Kumasi, you want to connect with him, please kindly DM him. Then you can talk. We have Collins Bafo Chi. Collins Bafo Chi, where are you connecting us from?
Hello, I'm connecting from University of Cape Coast, Ghana.
Okay. Thank you very much, Collins. So you can connect Collins too. We have the founder and principal organizer for Botswana R Users community, Edson. Can you hear me, Edson? Hello, Edson. Okay, so I think it's the network.
Hello.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So we would like to know where you are connecting from, where you are joining us from, and also which part of Botswana. I have a lot of friends from Botswana.
Okay, my name. Network is bad.
Yeah, so I think the network is very bad. It's not only in Ghana that is bad, but I think Botswana too they are also struggling. So that's Edson. He is the founder and then the principal organizer for Botswana R User community. As I said, we have R User communities all over Africa and also in the world. And it's like he is the main person when it comes to Botswana. So we have Emmanuel. Emma, where are you joining us from? And then if it's Ghana, let's know your region. Hello, Emma. Okay. So we have Eric. Where are you joining us from, Eric?
Okay, thank you, Francis. I am joining from Ghana, specifically University of Cape Coast. Thank you.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please, did you hear my introduction, please?
No, please, if you can take it again. Sorry, the network.
Okay. I am Eric as usual. Then I'm from University of Cape Coast. Currently in Ghana, social. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Eric, we can hear
Hello.
you.
I think I can still hear you.
Eric,
Hello. Can you hear me now?
yes, please.
Yeah, I am currently in Ghana at University of Cape Coast.
Okay, I think the network. So let me just make it snappy. So have Chi. Wow, this name I'm struggling to mention it. Is it Chico Yora? Sorry for the name. Sorry, Chico Yora.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. I am Flavian Konyora from Zimbabwe.
Okay. Which part of Zimbabwe are you joining us from?
From Marondera, 73 kilometers from Harare. I'm an animal
Wow.
scientist by profession.
Did you have our community there? Because I'm championing that in Africa. Do you have a community there? Because I when I checked our database, I think we don't have some there. I think we don't have the Zimbabwe chapter. I don't know. Do you have a chapter for Zimbabwe?
No, we don't have any chapter for Zimbabwe. I don't even know if we have, but currently chapter, which I know.
Okay. So I'll kindly DM me, then we'll take it from there. So we have a page for all African our leaders. So we are trying to help create more communities in Africa. So kindly DM me, then we'll see what we can do regarding that. So I think we'll talk more on that. Then I have I think I mentioned Collins, Emmanuel, Francis, and Nancy, and then Francis and Nancy.
Okay, sorry. The name is Francis Ayesu.
Oh, Ayesu. Oh,
yes.
Sorry
please.
for that. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. You did well. You did well. You did well in the pronunciation.
So where are you joining us from?
Okay, so currently I'm in Millennium City, Kaswa.
Okay. Kaswa here in Accra, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you for joining. So we have Isaac Owusu Mensah, my namesake. I think Isaac has been part of trainings. Isaac, yeah.
Hello. Yes. I am in Accra right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm with the Direct Health Service.
Wow. I hope you are part of the Accra R Users community.
No, it's Sunyani rather. Before I joined it before coming to Accra.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in Sunyani before coming to Accra.
Because very soon after the conference, we'll be doing in-person trainings in all the regions. So that's what I'm asking.
Okay. I still move up and down, so anywhere it catches me, I can join.
Okay. So we have Jacob. Jacob, where are you joining us from? Jacob.
Yeah, hello. I'm joining from Accra Technical University, Accra.
Wow. So are you part of the Accra R Users community?
No, I think the platform that we shared the message, I think is the Ghana one.
Okay, so I'll today try and reshare all the other communities so that you can join. Okay, right, so we have Lord Kelvin.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Lord, and I'm from Ghana. Specifically, I'm in Kumasi. I'm currently a student at KM.
Which institution?
KM University.
Okay. I'm always there. But the I part of the Kumasi R Users community.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining. So we have Samuel. Right. Samuel Kosiba. Samuel, where are you joining us from?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm joining from Ho Volta region, Ghana.
Wow. Wow. So Samuel, we'll be coming to Ho, I think, no, not Ho, rather. We'll be traveling to, I think, 2 months' time. We'll be in Uti. We'll be somewhere KJB. We're having
KJB, okay.
Yes, we'll be having R User community in-person training at KJB. So we hope that when it's getting closer, you'll join us.
What about the northern region?
We have done.
Do you have in Tamale?
Yeah, we have in Tamale. I should be in Tamale next 2 weeks, and then I'll be launching the Tamale Technical University R chapter next 2 weeks in Tamale. So I'll be launching it. Yes, in Tamale next 2 weeks. I'll still be in Tamale. So we probably could connect when I get to Tamale.
Thank you.
Then we have Ayebi. Where are you joining us from? Ayebi. Okay. So I would like to once again thank Dr. Edmon Ayesu for the down-to-earth presentation. It was an eye-opener. I have gone through the slides. It's really rich. So I will encourage all of you to go through the slides. And also, I will also encourage all of you to try and join we have a program, 50 days of becoming data scientists. We'll be starting it on the 20th of March. We started on the 20th. It's from I think 7:30 to 8:30 a day. We have Dr. Kweku, and we have George, and then we have Nana Banahene. All these are gurus, and they are joining us from Ghana. I think Dr. Kweku Ayen is joining us from Botswana region, University of Allied Health. If I don't get it right, pardon me. We have George, and then we have Nana Banahene, who is senior MNE specialist for Care International Ghana. So we're doing this with myself. We'll be doing this for 50 days. So I encourage you to try and join and be part of it. We also have our conference coming up. I think it's on the 19th, 20th of June at the Tamale UDS. Dungo precisely. So we want to encourage all of you to be part of it. When it comes to the registration fee, we have reduced it to 50 cedis for members to join because we've gotten some funding from our consultants. So please, we are encouraging you to join our conference. This year it will be in Tamale. Next year, we are bringing all Africa to Accra. Next year, all the African communities will be coming to Accra. So we encourage you to be part of the Tamale one. We encourage you to be part of the Tamale. Come, let's network. Let's get to know ourselves. Let's get to collaborate when it comes to projects. Let's get to collaborate. Once again, thank you very much for joining. And then sorry, I think the slides, because of the lighting issue, Doc couldn't use his laptop to do the presentation. So sorry for that. But then the second phase of the training, we'll try to use the laptop so that you can get it. So thank you very much for joining. We are grateful. Thank you for your time. We know that Saturdays normally is for weddings, funerals, and other stuff, but then we thank you for making time to join this meetup. Thank you very much, Doc. I'm really grateful. I know you told me your schedules for Saturday is not easy, but then thank you for making time and then giving us a wonderful presentation. We are very, very grateful. So this presentation is live. So after this, I'll be sharing it to our pages. I will share this to the African R User community page. I'll share it on the page and also on the other pages. So once again, thank you for joining. May God bless us all. Bye-bye for now.